So the cabin is happening. I can't tell you how excited I am. The septic system is in the ground now, so there is no turning back. I mean, we've invested too much money into the septic system to not do anything with it. So it's kind of a motivation now to make sure that, hey, there's no turning back. You have to finish this cabin. So it's a little bit stressful, but it's also a good motivator. So you can see that this used to be a pretty nice lawn in this area, and they had to tear the whole place up because they had to dig, trenches and a big hole for the septic tank. So actually see for yourself from this aerial view. So yeah, it's all in the ground now.
All right, so let's rewind a few weeks back. So if you meet all the requirements I listed in the first episode, which you can find here by clicking on the top, you have thought about how you're going to deal with all the utilities, which I also discussed on episode 2, which you can find here as well. The next step now is to apply for a septic permit. So this will obviously be different for each county, but I'm still going to show you what it looked like for me, and hopefully that will help. So here's the paperwork. So it's a pretty simple application. You will enter a bunch of basic info about your name, your address, and so on. You will have to decide if you want to expand your existing septic system, or get a brand new one. So if your existing system, so for your current house, is recent enough and that there is enough room around it, then this will most likely be the most economical solution, as usually they'll be able to expand your system, meaning that they will just probably extend the drain field by a few lines, and that will allow enough capacity now to take care of a cabin. So if, like me, on the other end, you have an old system from the 70s and very little room around it, then you're better off getting a brand new system. So with your application, you'll have to draw a very simple site plan showing the new building, the well, the edges of your lot, any power lines, water lines. So I used a survey from when I bought the house to help me draw this sketch. I mean, honestly, it doesn't have to be perfect, because the septic inspector is going to actually come to your property. It's going to take a lot of measurement, and they're going to draw a much nicer sketch. So let me show you some footage from the inspection and the septic installation while I keep talking. So as mentioned, the county will send their inspector who will inspect the lot. They really want to see how the topography, how your land is pretty much. Are there trees? Because you might need to clear the land if it's a full forest. So I was lucky, my stuff was pretty much clear. They want to know where the property lines are. And once they get a decent understanding of what they're dealing with, they will decide where the tank and where the drain field is going to go based on what you drew on your application, because they know where the structure is supposed to go, so they'll base it off of that. They will start by staking the area where the system will go to have some test hole dug so that they can inspect the quality of the soil. So I was expecting some really tiny hang dug holes, but they literally had to dig some massive, 4 feet square hole that were probably 5 to 6 feet deep, and they had done 4 of those. So after that, they will issue a permit telling you exactly what needs to be done, what size of tank, how many linear feet of drain field, etc. So they will give you a nice sketch with everything you need to know, showing you the proposed structure, the new tank, the drain field, everything. So you actually need a specific license to build a system like that. So I had to hire a pro. So it took them actually a solid 6 days to dig and install a 1,000-gallon tank, as well as the 155 feet of drain line that was required by the permit. The tank is just some plastic tank that they buried probably 7 feet deep. The drain field is made of plastic chambers, and as you can see here in black on the footage I'm showing you, which create a protected area where the effluent, which is the liquid coming from the septic tank, will drain and sip slowly into the soil. So if the chamber gets full, then it will gravity feed into the next one, and so on. So when you think about it, it's a pretty basic system, but it's definitely a lot of labor that requires the use of some heavy digging equipment. So let me also mention that the county here does require a minimum size system, no matter how small the cabin is to be. So they do require what they call a minimum 2-bedroom system, which is what I had to get. But honestly, in my case, this is going to be way oversized, for just that little one cabin that's going to get so little use. But unfortunately, I had no choice, and they don't let you go smaller. That's just the basic requirement from the county. So now that the septic is in place, my next step is to start properly clearing the land. I still have a few trees that I have to get rid of, and I also need to properly stake the exact footprint of the cabin as well as the location of the foundation piers. So here's a little preview of this episode, the next episode, where I finally get to start playing a little, getting off this couch, and actually starting to finally do some work. So it's going to be pretty interesting. So make sure to click here and check that episode out.